This is Aoife Dean and this is the Happy Weight Podcast. Thank you so much for joining me. If you haven't already, please like and follow and subscribe. And also, if you know you have a buddy who struggles with her eating or weight, send her an episode and maybe it might help her out. Today, we are talking about slow health, because you know the way everything is moved to fast, like as in, I suppose, slow food versus fast food. And even in terms of how we buy food, you know, I think people are kind of going back to markets if they can, food markets now, and just or butchers, or, you know, like I think because things have got so fast, like we're valuing slow things a little bit more also, because with speed you miss out on a lot of stuff. And I was thinking this a lot because over the weekend I zoomed up to Kilkenny on Sunday and I stayed with Trisha, and then I went from there to Longford to Centre Parks for a spa day with a friend. And you know, it was just zip up to Kilkenny. It was like an hour and 40 or something from Cork, and then on to Longford. It was no big deal. But I remember holidays growing up. We used to go to Mayo and Donegal and Meath on holidays, and the four other kids would be squashed in the back seat, you know, no seatbelts, flailing around. I was like flailing around, freestyling with the luggage in the boot. Like it was an open boot. It's not as if they deprived me of oxygen or anything. Or I'd be at Mam's feet at the front seat. There was just such a big difference leaving West Cork. Even, I suppose, West Cork's a bit like country and a bit more like Kerry. Even getting to Cork City felt like a culture shock. And even getting to another county or going to the Midlands or going to Mayo, like it felt so big when we were small. Like it felt like such a big culture difference. And also it was a pilgrimage. Like getting up to Mayo took something like 8 hours or something. And you went through all these cute towns and villages and everything. So you couldn't but notice you were going very far away. That was lovely. And I suppose when I zipped up to Trisha the other day, you come off the motorway and like I was going through these lovely places like Durrow, and I was like, God, I have to come back here. Like everything looks so pretty. But like we just zip through things and then zip home again. And I suppose I just feel like I don't want to go backwards. Obviously, I don't want to go backwards, but like, not to be corny, but sometimes the joy is in the journey. And if everything's just, you know, an hour and a half on the motorway, we can miss a lot. And I even think that like I bomb up from West Cork here and I use the back roads, and you know, all the locals would use the back roads, and it's pretty much like rally driving. But unfortunately, Google Maps sends tourists on the back roads as well. And then so it's like they're like 20 minutes from any filling station. Like if anything happens to them, they're not really going through the towns and villages. So even from a scenic perspective, you know, and I'm like, for the sake of 15 minutes, they could go through all the towns and villages, you know, and really have a proper tourist experience. But, you know, Google Maps just gets the quickest way to Z. So again, I just kind of feel like sometimes we miss out that way. I think health is the same. Like I wrote about this in my newsletter as well. Me and two of my friends, Alana and Anne-Marie, like, oh my God, it took weeks of preparation and joking. But we did manage to get to a 7 a.m. yoga class. And like, we were really messing coming up to it, because I was messaging like, oh, I suppose this is how people felt the night before they climbed Everest. And we were just really like taking the piss the whole time. And then the next day in the co-working space, we let everyone know that we had attended a 7 a.m. yoga class. Like we were so proud of ourselves. But like, jokes aside, and that was only messing and exaggerating and stuff. But when I was in that class, right, and it was one of Linda Casey's classes, and it was €12, and I was in there, and I was probably like 45 minutes in, like, and I was just like, I feel better physically, emotionally, spiritually, and it was €12. It was €12, and it was like an hour class. Then I kind of had a thought, a bit almost like a Black Mirror episode, like, I wonder, are there people that will go from the 1st of the month to the 31st of the month and nowhere through that time have that feeling that you can get from a yoga class or from an exercise class, or that feeling when you're unlocking the door home after a run or a walk, whatever exercise people are able to do physically. I was just like, you know, with all the injections in the world now, basically, you know, you can inject your face to look younger and brighter, whatever. You can inject your body to maybe be slimmer or look more healthier. But I'm just like, that's cutting out all those individual experiences in between. My experience from having binge eating disorder, bulimia, being 3 stone heavier, the difference between me now and then is just literally how many moments in the week I feel emotionally better than I used to back then, and how many moments in the week and the month that I feel physically more comfortable than I used to back then, because I used to make myself very tired the way I was living. I used to be very hungry or very overfed with my chaotic relationship with food. I used to feel very heavy, very bloated. Mentally, I used to feel very in a haze of fog and food noise anyway, first of all, and body shaming and guilt and all those horrible emotions. So I'm like, I know it sounds really oversimplified, but I literally think health is increasing the moments in your week where you feel physically or emotionally better. And whatever it takes for that to happen in your life, in your body, in your mind, you are the only person who knows that. It kind of made me sad, because I suppose health is the number one thing where the joy is in the journey. And like I said, I'm not anti-injections, but I'm just saying there is a very fruitful, amazing experience and journey to go on in your life when you want to get healthier. And I suppose the main thing we do have to drop is looking at it through the lens of dieting, punishment, willpower, shame, because you can't get to a good feeling place by feeling bad all the time. And I suppose that's what this podcast is about. It's trying to give you tools that are not dieting, but where you can help yourself out with how you're feeling in your body and in your mind and with your eating. Back to the good feelings. They're tiny little moments we want to build up. And I think another, because I suppose should doesn't work for me, right? I'm a rebel without a cause. So if you tell me I should do something, by God, I will not be doing it. And I think that's why dieting and health advice really doesn't work for a large amount of the population, because if we're having a crappy day, we'll be like, screw you, screw everything. I'm following the opposite of your advice. And we're only then hurting ourselves. Where, we're kind of like, I'm going to eat the forbidden foods. I'm going to eat the things I'm definitely not allowed, because that gives us a buzz. Now we can't, if you have a personality like mine, you can't use the should, right? Because a should on any kind of thing to do with your health or your eating is how you can guarantee you're going to run in the absolute opposite direction. Like, I remember when I realized, if I ever say, okay, I'll definitely do more walks now over the weekend, I realized that I could actually then put my money on it that there would be less than average amount walking over the weekend. Like, it just always ended up being the opposite. Now we have to turn it all around, where you sell yourself on that feeling in the moment. And I've had so much chats to clients about this as well, that actually exercise is not about weight loss. It's not even about muscles. It's not about any of those things. I think it's literally down to that maybe 1 minute of smugness, pride, a feeling that you're treating yourself how you deserve to be treated. You're loving yourself like you deserve to be loved. It's that little moment, or it's that moment with your big water bottle and your earpods, like climbing back into the car after leaving the gym. It's like those teeny tiny moments of feeling good. It's however you can find those teeny tiny moments and make that the new story with some of your behaviors. So say, for instance, another rebel without a cause thing I suppose I had, that a lot of us have, I suppose, from growing up, is that like you're being bold and cheeky or breaking rules if you stay up late. Like, oh, it's the good thing to go to bed early, and you're being naughty if you don't. And like I said, for some of us, that's going to then have the absolute opposite effect, making it a pull instead of a push away. The pull is, that moment where you're wrapped up in bed and it's like 9:30 and you're cozy. Maybe you have a water bottle, maybe you had a bath, maybe you did some pampering, or maybe you're just in your cozy pajamas, and maybe you have a candle, or maybe you have a light and a little lamp or something, like just a nice scene is basically what I'm talking about. And you're just already like looking forward to being well rested in the morning. I kind of think that little moment, just like that moment coming back from a walk or a run, where you're like, yeah, because that's what I deserve. Like, I deserve to do my job or mind my kids or whatever you're up to tomorrow. I deserve to do that well rested, and I don't deserve to do that cranky. And also, I don't deserve to, how I see it is, live a crappy life, because how we live our day is how we live our life. So if we have a day where we're anxious, we're wrecked, we're moody, we're irritable, all because we stayed up late. And for what? To give Netflix and Disney more money, to make rich people richer? Like, as in, that thing of like, if you don't have a plan for yourself, you become part of someone else's plan. So that's again why I kind of think we do want to put, first of all, we want to get clear on the feelings we like experiencing and that we want to experience within the next like 6 hours or 12 hours or 24 hours. Like, what are the feelings you'd like to feel? Is it well rested? Is it hydrated? Is it strong? Is it confident? Is it happy? You get clear on the feeling you'd like to experience the next 6, 12, 18 hours. And then you go make it happen. We might have that idea of like, oh my God, I'm going to be waking up at 7 a.m., 6 a.m. or whatever, so well rested, so delighted with myself that I went to bed on time. And then if you have that as such a prize, right? Like you really have like, oh, I'm making my latte or I'm making whatever, or I'm watching the sunrise or whatever it is, feeling really, 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 really well rested. Like the more you put onto that, well, then it's actually a loss and a punishment to stay up. So that naughty dialogue is gone then, if that makes sense. Because if you've built the afterwards, the you climbing back into the car after the gym or you coming home after a run, if you've built that up as so gorgeous, well, then not doing it becomes a loss. So staying up late doesn't become like cheeky and naughty and spoiling yourself and letting your hair down. It becomes like, oh, what a loss. I didn't get to have the morning I wanted, or say even overeating, like as in, especially at nighttime, like if you have a plan to like meet up with your girlfriends or something for brunch, or even take the kids out for brunch or whatever, and have like the world's most amazing pancakes because you're hungry. Like if you've built that image up, well, then it's like, hell no, I'm not overeating tonight. Not a hope, because that would mean that like my belly's all like full or yuck or like not hungry, or my taste buds are just a bit meh when I go out for my gorgeous breakfast then. And like, why should I have to miss out on that amazing memory? Because it's like, part of our brain doesn't know the difference between a visualization, a memory are currently happening. So that's why we want to beef out these moments of a goal. So it's almost like a memory we've already experienced. So our brain kind of works harder to get it, if that makes sense. So like, what a tangent, but I hope that makes sense. Like it's actually lovely little feelings that are the sign that we're getting healthier. And that's why it's like, if you want to lose weight or something, that is never something to dread. It's never something to dread or put on the long finger, because like, yeah, if you're going to diet, if you're going to cut out foods, if you're going to count calories, yeah, that's an eating disorder. That's disordered eating. That's no one saying that has a positive outcome, or no one educated anyway is saying that has a positive outcome. So scrap that. Like, as in, disordered eating is not a fun place to be, mentally, physically, whatever. So that's actually how I think, that's how I used to know I was in disordered eating, because mentally or physically, I didn't feel well. The future you want to create is, like I said, all these moments of feeling well, either mentally or physically, and then really getting some detail on what those goals are, what those mental feelings are, and what those physical feelings are. With that, with slow health, right? Because slow health is gathering these little micro moments, and there are no shortcuts. And that's really important to understand with our relationship with food. If we're coming from a diet background, we'll be like gauging our hope on weight loss as, did I have the smallest possible amount of calories yesterday? And then if I did, or, if I said no to the pizza, or if I said no to the chocolate, well, then I get to be hopeful that I will lose weight. And I would say, no, that's not how it goes. It actually goes the other way. You are going to be eating out maybe once a week for the rest of the year, or you're going to be maybe ordering takeaway once every 2 weeks for the rest of the year. So your ability to be a healthy, regulated weight will be your ability to regulate these foods. So not cut them out momentarily for a week or for a day, or not eat all of them in a binge or a reaction to that restriction, but how can you handle it nicely? So when I'm working with clients, the win is always that they handle the food nicely, that they were very selective about what they ate. It was totally what their belly wanted, totally what their taste buds wanted. And when they were grabbing their jacket off the back of a chair and leaving the restaurant or leaving the coffee shop, they felt really nice. If you can do that, right? And then you can do that every week for a year. And then you can do that like, or not even like 100%. I'm not aiming for 100%, but like on average, the times that we feel really nice with those foods, that's when we get to be hopeful about our weight. That's the slow burn, because rather than having 0 calories at that meal, you might be having 700 calories. But for the greater good, that's actually an important use of calories, like you eating in a nice way to a nice point of fullness is actually a better indicator that you someday will be the weight you want to be. Kind of, I think what comes into slow health is that the most exciting thing about losing weight is not about the size you are at the end of it. It's the person you become on your way to getting it. And that's why I kind of think even with strict diets or even in the injection now, I've come across a lot of people and it's like skinny, but with all the same issues isn't that much of a prize actually. Because if you're slimmer, but you're still as messed up, that's not as fun as changing how you need to change in the day and in your week so that you have these moments where you physically and emotionally feel better on average. That's really important. And part of that, of course, part of feeling better and part of us getting better at feeling better is how we react to discomfort. And that's a huge thing, right? Because you would have heard me talking about that before in other episodes. But I kind of think that what kind of makes or breaks someone with a weight problem, someone without a weight problem, is their reaction to discomfort. So if our belly is full, are we like, oh my God, you're such a failure, you're such a mess, you're never gonna lose weight, whatever, rather than seeing like, oh, that's an engine light on the dash of my car. You know, like as in, I actually did drive to Longford this week with an engine light on in my car. And I am grateful that that engine light came on, because then when the car actually broke down, I was back in Skibbereen and next to my mechanic. But had I not known that something was like a problem was building in the engine, I wouldn't have been near the mechanic and I wouldn't have got it on time. That's how we want to see all the kind of things we're reading from our body now. So say for instance, I always get a migraine if I'm burning the candle at both ends. If I'm waking up too early, if I'm commuting up and down to the city too much, if I'm taking on too many clients, if I'm over caffeinated, if I'm staying up later than I need to, I will just get struck down with a migraine. And I'm delighted it's a migraine and not a more serious diagnosis after 6 months of living that way. And like one of my buddies, Julianne, that I was in Centre Parks with, she was saying that one of her sisters was like, oh my God, take this for sleep. You have to take this tablet for sleep. It's amazing for sleep. And she was like, no, like I know I've a load of sleep hygiene stuff to do before I take medication, like a load. She's like, I'm aware my sleep hygiene isn't good at the moment. I'm aware I need to move around a few things. And so like the lack of sleep, that's all just like a little engine light on in the dashboard of the car being like, hey, something's not running right like it should be. It's the same with, say, a lot of the times when we've issues with eating, a lot of people will have IBS issues, or they'll kind of drift into IBS every so often just because their little digestive systems cannot hack this level of fat and this level of eating. So they will kind of get a runny tummy or a bad tummy or whatever. And it's like, if you think about it, you want that signal. You want to be grateful for those signals. So it's like, if I get heartburn, which I do sometimes if I've really buttery toast and fried eggs and rashers in the morning, like if there's a line of fat in the morning that if I cross it, I'll get heartburn. I'm really grateful for that, because I'm like, oh, my poor body, I don't want to do that to it again. Like I don't want to give it heartburn again tomorrow morning. So maybe there's one little thing there that has to go or be swapped or whatever, so that I don't have to put my body through that again. Overeating, binge eating is generally like a little bit of a cry for help, that we're running our life and we're thinking in a way that doesn't suit us, that doesn't feel good, and we need help basically. And I remember I had one client, and him and his brother worked in the family business. They had taken over from their dad who was retired, but like that business wasn't bringing enough income to live on for both of their families. So they also had day jobs as well. So the two men were doing their day jobs, then doing the family business at night, then, trying to be family men as well. They'd wives, they'd kids, they'd everything else on. And the brother told me that my client told me that his brother actually got cancer. And since he got cancer, he's been out of all work for like 3 months, 6 months, or whatever it was. And my client was saying to me, they couldn't tell their dad that they couldn't run the family business. They couldn't express that. They couldn't vocalize that. And I think that's the thing with our body. Our body will vocalize for us stuff that we don't sometimes vocalize. So we might say no to an event or say no to an extra client, and then we'll do it and we'll get a migraine or we'll get COVID or we'll get a flu, and then we'll be out for 3 days. So with all these early warning signs, all these engine lights on the dashboard now, we actually want to be grateful for them. And I suppose our new relationship with our body, which is the opposite of someone with disordered eating. So in disordered eating and in weight problem, we can be looking in the mirror and giving out about our thighs, calling our body ugly, looking at photos and doubling down on the hate. We can be really in opposition to our body. And now part of getting on the same team as our body is like, oh geez, body, sorry, I didn't realize that was so much fat. Sorry, you have a little bit of heartburn now. I'm really sorry about that. I'll have more fresh foods later, or I'll have water now, or I'll give you loads of time now to get through that food. We want to be like, oh geez, body, sorry about that. I hear your little call for help. I hear your little white flag surrender, and I promise I'm going to listen. I promise I'm going to make a major change that I wouldn't normally do in order to make you feel well. I see it all the time with clients, and it certainly was true for me. A lot of us can go on and on and on about like, oh, I'd love to be slimmer, I'd love to be healthier, it's really important to me. And actually all we mean is that we obsess about it. We think about it a lot. Really, what's important to us is if you look at your week, you look at the 7 days, and it's what your hours are spent on. Hopefully we have loved ones in our life. There's a few hours spent on them, but sometimes there's many, many, many work hours, or there's many, many hours, just check the screen time on your phone. How much hours do we give to Instagram or Disney Plus or Netflix or whoever else? And then on those same weeks, we said we didn't have time for a walk, or we didn't have time for a bath, or we didn't have time to go to the sauna, or we didn't have time to meet up with our friends. And now we want to be quite brutal about your time equals your values. And we want to be really honest about that now. How our day is looking and how our week is looking represent our values. And if one of our values is we want to feel well, we really want to make changes where we didn't before. We really want to stick our neck out, say no to things or move things or get support. There has to be significant change in order to experience significant change and significant results. So thanks so much for being here. Happy HypnoWeight, the €99 program. It's on my website. It's going to fill your mind with a really good mindset approaching eating and weight. So go get that. It's on happyweight.ie. If you want to work with me one-to-one, also shoot me an email. And thanks so much for being here. Mwah, 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 mwah.